Margaret, do you mind saying your name on camera for me? It's Margaret?
Margaret Craig.
And you've lived in this house for how long?
Oh, about 55 years.
We had accidental injuries at 2391 Lower Big Springs Road.
That night, can you just tell me what happened?
Well, I woke up with somebody banging on the door. And I opened the door and I saw that they were in swimsuits and they were young and they act like they were scared to death.
County 911.
Yes, this is Margaret Craig out here at Big Springs. There's been a car wreck out here.
And then a few minutes later, he come running back and he said, "You need to call 911 again. One of them is not responding."
This is Margaret Craig again. One of the guys come back over here and he says he thinks somebody's dead. Could you get a pulse or anything? You couldn't? Okay. The car flipped.
It looked like it had hit that embankment over there and maybe just rolled. I don't know. I saw it when they pulled it out.
What did it look like?
It was a mess. It was.
Hey, we found the second person. If you want to let DSC know, it's 2 fatalities.
It's what?
2 fatalities.
And it's one of our favorite pictures of Philip. After warm-ups, he'd go by himself and just kind of point skyward.
One of the most beautiful pictures we've ever seen.
We had a very close relationship, all 4 of us. We're all each other's best friends. Me and Philip and then Abby. And we're all about 2 years to 2.5 years apart.
He was bossed around by his sisters. He was very quiet as a young kid, and the doctor said, well, his sisters are talking for him all the time.
I was blessed to coach him in youth football. You know, you picked up early on, he could view things in the sports that other players probably didn't see at first.
I knew he was talented until the kind of college recruiting with football came in. That's when I realized, oh gosh.
When I was a freshman, my friends would be like, did you know Nick Saban's here to visit Philip? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't realize how big of a deal it really was.
Senior year of high school, he was about a 6'4", 230-pound body. 4th down play, falling out of the back of the end zone, caught it and tossed it to a teammate. Everybody started calling, did you see ESPN tonight? And made, I think, number 3 play in the top 10 that night.
He knew it right away that that's where he wanted to be. It was a wonderful, wonderful choice for him.
You know, he turned down Urban Meyer and the chance to play at least 1 year with Tim Tebow. And how do you do that? You know, how do you turn down a Nick Saban and how you turn down an opportunity to go to Stanford? But Philip just felt comfortable at Auburn, and it was a special connection.
Philip was the first player that I recruited once I got the job here as offense coordinator. His skill set was really very unique.
He was a machine. He was the guy that could make a one-handed catch, you know, behind his head with no gloves. That good of an athlete.
There's Lutzenkirchen! Touchdown Auburn! Touchdown Auburn!
It was something that that you don't see very often, in that he was, you know, strong and had some bulk on him, but at the same time was so fluid in everything he did athletically.
He kind of had it all. Outstanding football player and athlete, and was a big part of Auburn's drive to win the national championship in 2010.
Moving into the sophomore season, he was one of our better offensive players. He was somebody the quarterback could really count on.
The most popular names in jerseys at the time would have been Cam, and then second would have been Philip. Him being fired up got all of us fired up.
I guess the thing I remember the most, they came back, we were ahead 24-3, I think, and they came back and beat us. And he caught the touchdown pass.
He's got Lutzenkirchen! Touchdown Auburn! Touchdown Auburn! Lutzenkirchen! He threw it back across the field for the first time today. Auburn leads.
we just went crazy. And the people around us were like, and they're like, what? You know, we're like, that's our son!
He did a great job selling it, and then he did a good job of getting open and finished the play, and then he did his little dance right there that kind of caught everybody off guard, but it was a pretty special moment.
He did that stupid dance that everyone loves now, the Lutzie, and he didn't even realize he did it. And that went viral, which was just hilarious.
Oh yeah, the dance, everybody remembers the dance. That'll last forever.
My phone blows up from a bunch of people like, did you teach him that dance? What was that? It's the Lutzie.
The kick is good! Auburn wins! The Auburn Tigers are on top of the college football world.
It's just a great feeling. And I remember after the game seeing Philip, and we just gave a big hug and like, wow, we just won the whole thing.
It's hard to put into words. I mean, he got to the pinnacle of college football.
Let's take a time out with me, Philip Lutzenkirchen. I really don't know.
His smile was just infectious, and it was genuine. Like when he smiled, you felt warmth from it.
But that was Philip's personality. That fun side to him, that joking side to him was always there.
Philip's intangible values that he had, the character and integrity and the love for his neighbor, is what made Philip different.
I knew Philip had a very tender heart, but the connection with these younger children that had any kind of issues, I had no idea.
Bailey Moody's a girl he met that had cancer. You know, he met her when she was going to be making this decision on having to have her leg amputated above her knee, and to find out from Patrick, the father, after Philip passed away, that he came and visited her several times in Atlanta, and we live here, and he didn't come home. He didn't tell us he was doing it.
Evan Thomas was a great little kid. He was battling cancer, been battling for a while. Right before Evan died, we got to bring him up to Friday night dinner. His eyes lit up when Philip met him at the door, brought him in, and he genuinely enjoyed being around Evan and Bailey and those little kids that looked up to him and wanted to be around him.
At some point it's going to end for me, and I'd much rather be known for what I've done off the field and impacting other people's lives than how many touchdowns or how many catches I've had.
I think his hip had become a lingering thing. It was almost bone on bone of the hip joint in the hip socket. And I'll never forget, Mary and I went to the game in St. Louis, the last preseason game, and he just very calmly said, "What's up, Dad?" I said, "What's up with you?" He says, "Hey, I just got cut." But he was very content not to keep playing.
We have a lake house on Lake Hartwell in South Carolina. Just him, Mike, and I were at the lake.
You look back at retrospect, God made that happen. You know, why just Philip with us that day, and none of the girls were there, and that was a special day.
So it was just a couple days later?
Maybe 10 days.
His last picture he sent us was of him and a horse, and he sent me the selfie of him and this horse. So that was that.
I was awakened by a phone call from the Troup County coroner up in LaGrange, Georgia, who I've known for quite some time. And he said, "I've got somebody here with no identification, but I've been told it may be Philip Lutzenkirchen." And a few minutes later, he called me back and said, "Jay, it's Philip."
We had heard from him that he was going to go to a farm with people. Didn't hear from him, and so we went to church Sunday morning with the girls and two of our girls, and came home to a note on the door. My husband called the number. We were on that deck, and Mike just fell to his knees. And then we knew.
It was the coroner of Troup County, and he just said, "Philip was involved in an accident last night and didn't make it." And you know, you got married and the two girls looking at me. I just fell to my knees, and Amy screamed at the top of her lungs, and Amy and Ann Mary and Ann kind of fell to their knees, and you know, to tell them that we lost Philip.
Yeah. Sorry.
You talk about it, it just comes right back.
They had asked if it was okay to do a memorial service, and we as a family talked and said we owe it to the community to do that. And you pull up there and there's 3,500 people.
You know, thousands of people there. It was a true celebration of life.
It was a true honor and a blessing for me to have Coach Philip Lutzenkirchen. He not only made me a better coach, I believe he made me a better person.
Just unbelievable. There was the most incredible sunset going below the Lasser scoreboard during this ceremony, and it was orange and blue. And then they did a candle vigil, and to turn around in the stands and see everybody hold a candle. It's a tribute to who he was.
I know I do it, and I know Mike, I've caught him in the middle of the night in Philip's room going through things. So yeah.
This stuff you kind of look at more by you're on your own. It's midnight and you find your way into his room, and next thing you know it's 2 o'clock in the morning because you're just sitting in there looking at things and just thinking about them.
You want everybody to kind of go through stages at the same time, and we didn't. Physical shock, and some of us had it and some of us didn't, and some of us had panic attacks and some of us didn't, and it's normal. There's no right or wrong to any of it.
You never think something's going to happen to your family like this, and certainly not to somebody like Philip, but you just knew there was alcohol involved. You just had to have known it.
Well, police say alcohol use is suspected in the wreck that killed former Auburn University football player Philip Lutzenkirchen. Blood tests for alcohol were done on Lutzenkirchen and the driver, and those results are still pending.
You think about parties and alcohol and that, but when the details came out, besides the day we found out that he left our world, the hardest thing ever, because it was very public.
Yeah, I remember the day vividly. I was in my home office, and I get Google alerts on my kids. And a Google alert came out that said Auburn's Lutzenkirchen's BAC was .377.
It just felt so like invaded our privacy. Like people didn't need to know that. People wanted to know, and people were nosy, and it just it really set us back.
We holed up in his house for probably 48 hours. Didn't want to talk to anybody. Didn't want to go out. People didn't know what to say to us.
He is smart enough and should have known when to stop. And it's something that unfortunately is tied to him now. It sucks. It sucks really bad.
Philip's BAC was an astronomical number. There's not a word that describes to the level Philip drank that. And I've had so many people say, Mike, it can't be true. Why was this made public? You know, he was 23 years old, he was of age, he was a backseat rider. There is not a backseat seat law. He committed no crimes, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't bring him back. Alcohol didn't kill Philip. His decision-making killed him. And I've had people tell me that's a hard statement. It is, but that's the relationship Philip and I have, and I guarantee you one day he's going to tell me it's okay. Dad, I made the mistakes. Nobody forced me to do what I did that day. And this is about the 167th talk I've had But the title of my talk is Philip's Legacy. What legacy are you leaving? Philip had a phenomenal legacy. Because of decision making one weekend, that legacy's been tarnished. We started the foundation kind of with the tagline of live like Lutz, love like Lutz, lead like Lutz. But I couldn't say that anymore. He didn't show leadership that day. But what I got was God saying to me, it's live like Lutz, love like Lutz, learn from Lutz. And that's now our tagline.
My dad, my siblings, and my mom and I, we felt like, okay, people need to learn from this.
It's a testament to my dad for putting this foundation together and really showing how amazing Philip was, but also sharing like, hey, you can be this amazing person and still make a mistake that costs you your life.
When you make a series of poor decisions in a compressed time frame, there simply is no discrimination. And in retrospect, I think it's had more meaning in what we're doing as a foundation, to learn from Philip. Sharing his story is going to change somebody from making a poor decision. I just know it. You come up here, and again, I know some people probably think it's just, you know, guy's crazy or it's a coincidence. When you get off at exit 43, that's just a sign. And when you pull up and the last road you turn on into the event is Philip's Road, he's with me. He's with me every time.
You wouldn't have this kind of impact at this golf tournament here. You wouldn't have this many people supporting the foundation unless you were truly a genuine, good person.
Events like this, my brother was so crazy and goofy and funny, and we have Nick Saban here. And I truly believe it's because of the way this foundation is, because Philip died in an awful way, and we're not shying away from that. So another sister doesn't have to sit here and do this interview because of a drunk driving accident.
Mike and Mary have taken something that was a very tragic thing in their life and turned it into something that can be inspirational to affect other people.
Very personal to me, and what Mike's doing with the leadership of the foundation, making a difference you know, in people's lives. I mean, that's what life's about.
I'm on a quest, quite frankly. I think the rest of my life, my mission is to make sure this foundation is in existence. I do get kidded a lot by my girls, like, what's he gonna wear today that has a 43 on it? But I wear it with pride.
You know, this weekend, I was riding across campus, somebody had the 43 sticker. And then as I think about it, it goes deep into my soul about the kind of man he was.
I changed my number to 43. The first time I put that jersey on, it was like the most healing thing I ever have done. I just felt like I took a huge breath of fresh air and just was like, you know what, it's gonna be okay. He's with you wherever you go.
Truly believing that you'll be with someone again. That's what drives me, is that I am going to be with my son again, and that gives me hope.
Sometimes I shouldn't say it, probably because it seems unfair to the girl, but Philip's my best friend. There's got to be the love for Philip for me to do this. Part of it, to be honest with you, is I want him to be proud of me. I think Philip smiles down on what we're trying to do with who he was.
He epitomizes what the institution stands for. It's a wonderful, wonderful story with a tragic ending. And hopefully something good can come out of the tragic ending.